Hello, travel friends. This is Ilja Chapman here. I'm with Voyage Blue Travel, and today I'm super excited to be able to highlight one of my bucket list items, which is traveling to Africa. And I have already been very fortunate to have sent several clients to Africa, but I could not have done it without my partner in crime, who is the expert in Africa, and she makes me look really good. And I know the clients, and then she will be able to build an entire itinerary for them, fitting their needs and their expectations when they dream about traveling to Africa. So I'd like to introduce to you today Robin Neal from Safari Ventures. Robin, hi, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much, Ilja, for this opportunity. I'd like to start out just by talking about how we came about. The owner of our company had been born and raised in the country of Tanzania in East Africa, and he moved to the States when he was a young man and very much wanted to share the beauty of his country and other parts of Africa with Americans. And he met my husband. We lived next door to him at the time, and my husband knew how to go about starting a new business as an entrepreneur. And in the year 2000, Safari Ventures was born. And I was not a part of it at that time. I was raising my children. But in 2009, I joined the company and have been enjoying my job ever since then. To talk about what our company does, we are not a travel agency. We leave that up to Ilja. We are a tour operator, and we specialize in Africa. And as you can see by that National Geographic Adventure logo below, we were chosen as one of the best adventure travel companies on earth. That really gave our company a boost many years ago, and we've been thriving ever since. We go on site inspections many times a year. We want to make sure that we have seen every accommodation and every scenic area, every game park, so that we can, with great confidence, recommend those to you and know that you'll come back saying it was a trip of your lifetime.
And that's something I still need to try to get on one of your site inspections, right? So I can
yes,
I can be the expert too. But for now, I'm happy to use your experience, Robin.
Yes. We want to get you there, Ilja, in a big way. So the question we're going to pose today is, why go to South Africa and how in the world do I get there? So South Africa, in the 1990 era, opened up to tourism. Before that, there might have been, less than 500,000 people visiting in a year, and they were mostly domestic travelers. Once apartheid ended and Nelson Mandela was released from prison, the democracy began to flourish, and now tourism is the #1 product service that South Africa provides the world. There is so much to see and do, and we'll talk about that after how to get there from the US. Delta has direct flights from Atlanta to Johannesburg. If you prefer a flight that stops and you can stretch your legs and not go directly, there are plenty of airlines that will do that. But we're focusing here. United has direct flights from Newark to Cape Town. And the latest news is that Delta will have direct flights to Cape Town later this year, which will really open up things.
Wow. Of course, a lot of them will go via my hometown, Amsterdam, or there's an option to fly to Qatar and get to South Africa. But it's a long flight. I mean, we would recommend business class, right, Robin, instead of coach class.
If at all possible, if the passenger has points, that would be wonderful too. But business class is so much more comfortable than economy class when you're on a long flight like this. To give you an example, My flight on South African Airways, which is no longer operating, unfortunately, they left out of Dulles and went directly to Johannesburg, and it was about 17 hours. So these airlines on these long hauls feed you very well. You try to sleep, you read books, you watch movies, and the time does pass quickly enough.
Yeah.
Some
You
other
can lay down
airlines.
as well.
Sorry?
And you can lay down when you fly business class instead of sitting up.
The human body wants to lay down. So that would be fantastic if that could be done. British Air through London, you could do a stopover, spend a few days in London and hop back on the plane, go into Johannesburg or Cape Town. KLM, as Ilja said, through Amsterdam. Ethiopian Airlines departs from Washington, D.C., goes to Addis Ababa and then into Johannesburg. Qatar flies through Doha. That's becoming a more popular destination for a stopover. I've just met with Qatar's representative about 2 weeks ago, and there are some nice things to see and do there in Doha. Virgin Atlantic through London as well. So plenty of ways to get there. And we are excited about that Delta direct flight to Cape Town. Any questions on that, Ilja?
No, I think it's good to realize that it's a long flight, and but it's definitely worth it. So yeah, thank you for this.
Okay. We're going to start with the city of Cape Town. There is no way to describe the beauty of this city with pictures or words. You have to experience it. I did go on a helicopter flight over this area, over Table Mountain and the coastline, and it was absolutely breathtaking. There's so much to see and do there. We normally recommend no less than 4 nights because there's so much to pack in here, but we can really customize your tour to fit your special requirements, your favorite things to do, hobbies, activities. I'll go through a list and just briefly describe what those most popular areas are. The city tour is a half-day tour which takes you through Cape Town and orients you to the origins of the city. You'll see the Dutch settlements. You will see a very old fort. You will go through the company gardens, which is a botanical area. That's walking part of the tour. Table Mountain is an iconic point in Cape Town, where this mountain, which you see in the picture, has a flat top. And when you take a cable car up to the top of that on a clear day, you can see the most incredible views. It is not to be missed. Some people, if they like to hike, will hike up the mountain. But most of our clients would just prefer to drive up to the top and then at some point take that cableway to the summit. That is highly, highly recommended. We have an area in Cape Town called Cape Point, where the Indian and Atlantic Oceans meet. And that is a beautiful area with a nature reserve surrounding it. The penguins are something that a lot of people, when they call me about a trip, say, I want to see the penguins. There's a beach called Boulders Beach, and there are these tiny little penguins that live there, and they run up and down with the waves, and it is absolutely delightful. And that is part of our Cape Peninsula tour, which is a full-day tour. The African dinner and drumming experience. That's a lot of fun, especially if you're taking children on this trip, to actually have the pleasure of hearing a beautiful drumming experience, but also being able to do that themselves, which is very possible to do at Gold's Restaurant. The food markets are exquisite. The V&A waterfront stands for Victoria and Albert. And that is a really wonderful place to stay because it is in walking distance to fantastic shopping, art galleries, the aquarium, a dropping off point for cruises, and also, and I'll speak about this more, but you can just walk to the nearby clock tower and get a ferry over to Robben Island, which is where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for many years. It is now a museum, and it's part walking and part bus, and the guides are wonderful. And you will also see people that were imprisoned with Nelson Mandela that speak and guide the tour. So anyone interested in the cultural heritage and history of Cape Town, South Africa in general, it's not to be missed, Robben Island. There are other cultural tours. There are Cape Malay cooking tours. If someone is particularly fond of drinking gin, there are gin sampling tours, like wine tours. For the active people, there's plenty of beaches to go to. There's sandboarding and quad biking, lots of different hiking and biking opportunities. One very popular tour in a town called Hermanus outside of Cape Town is whale watching. And in certain months of the year, August is a really busy period of time for whale watching. We can transfer you out there and you can spend the day either on the shore watching or take a boat excursion for whale watching. Shark cave diving is a full day tour. We drive you out to the departure point. You get on the boat. You can choose whether to do the shark cage or just view from the boat. But when doing the cage diving, we provide a wetsuit, a snorkel, and a mask, and you go into a very, very secure cage and are lowered down into the water, and the sharks come right up to you, and it's quite an experience. We would call that an adrenaline experience. We've had a lot of people do that tour, and they just absolutely love it. There's a light lunch served on the boat, and then we return you back to your hotel.
And we're talking about the Great White here, because I know we're as scuba divers, it's definitely on our bucket list to go there and actually do scuba with them, but those are the Great Whites. I mean, we're not talking about reef or nerve sharks.
Yes.
Or the real sharks, I would say.
Correct. The very dangerous sharks, but you are safe. I wanted to make sure that's clear. And then Robben Island, we spoke about, where Nelson Mandela was.
So Robin, I've seen people go, for example, around the Christmas time, which is obviously a very popular time because it's summer, obviously, then in Cape Town. And there's a lot of terraces as well outside. It has a very European feel, I would say. Is that correct? Or?
I'd say that's true, yes. And you'll see a photo that, some other photos of Cape Town that would bring that to mind, certainly. A lot of Cape Dutch architecture that is so beautiful. You'll see that both in Cape Town and in the winelands, which we'll talk about also.
Yeah.
This is a picture of the V&A waterfront that I mentioned, where I like to have people stay there. It just, you have the choice of staying downtown at a hotel like the Taj, for instance, which is beautiful. But I just like this location so much because I can walk to all the shops, the museums, the art galleries, and so many restaurants that of every cuisine you can imagine. It's just a great place to stay.
So is that the tabletop mountain there on the background?
Yes, that's Table Mountain in the background. There are hotels that have Table Mountain views from their rooms that you can specifically request. Some of the very best hotels in that area, the One and Only is fairly new. It's an exquisite 5-star. The Cape Grace is just a renowned hotel overlooking this area with the water, and every room is designed with African fabrics that are very tasteful and beautiful. It's a pleasure just to walk in there if you're not staying there. There's the Table Bay Hotel right in walking distance of this place. It's an older, very elegant hotel. I'm trying to think of my other favorites. There is a special tea time that's famous at the Nelson Hotel. That's always a lot of fun if you have some free time and you want to take tea. So there's a little European element there. So many different hotels. There are plenty of 4 and even 3-star hotels that are in walking distance of the V&A. So we can fit any budget whatsoever with your stay in Cape Town. That's just a picture of people looking out from Robben Island onto Table Mountain. This gives you an idea of how colorful the townships are in Cape Town and how pretty. This is a picture on the right, upper right of the Cape of Good Hope. That is certainly a bucket list site that people wish to be at, where I mentioned that's where the oceans meet, supposedly.
Shall I do the Dutch version here? Kaap die Goeie Hoop. That's in Afrikaans. And of course, me speaking Dutch, we understand Afrikaans a little bit. So Cape of Good Hope.
Oh, yes, yes.
Kaap die Goeie Hoop.
And we will provide you with a translation page in your itinerary so that you can learn some Afrikaans before you go. There's the penguins. I was mentioning how they run up and down with the tide, and they're just so adorable. So we discussed Table Mountain and the city tour and what that entails. Again, it is a half-day tour, so it's kind of a nice thing to do on day 2, sleep in a little bit and do the afternoon version of the tour. There's the whale watching.
So you said that's best in August to do the whale watching, so that is kind of their
a period of months, but a peak time is August, yes. There's pictures of the shark cage diving tour that I spoke about. And you can see how up close and personal you can get.
Spectacular.
Okay, to talk about the winelands, South Africa is very famous for its wine. And even if you're not a wine drinker at all, it is well worth the trip. We offer a day tour, either half day, with 2 tastings and some time in the historic town of Stellenbosch, one of the oldest towns in South Africa. And also a full day tour with 3 tastings. And each and every winery has its own beauty to it, but and this picture doesn't do it justice as far as the Dutch architecture that you'll see, and the immense lands filled with grapes. But they just treat you like gold. You walk in and they take you into the cellar. You have your tastings. You have the opportunity to purchase wine if you'd like and enjoy it back at your hotel. There are opportunities to stay there 2-3 nights as well. And we can recommend some of the just nicest hotels in wine estates where you can stay if you don't choose to do it on a day tour basis. So that is certainly available.
Must be a wedding destination as well for people from the US, or?
Very much so, very much so. And it is also known for its grand cuisine in this area. There's plenty in Cape Town, but there are some incredibly wonderful restaurants here. So just to summarize what can be done in the winelands, again, we take you in a private transfer for half or full day tour. If you're staying there, you can take the wine tram, which is lots of fun with many different stops at different wineries. There are museums and biking experiences. You can take segways if that's your thing. In these towns, Stellenbosch has a market that's quite famous. It has a lot of art and crafts for purchase. And so it just makes for a really special, wonderful time. I remember sitting in a restaurant in Stellenbosch, which happens to be a college town. And after a tour of some very, very old homes, it kind of reminded me of Sturbridge Village or Williamsburg, but even older. And I learned how people lived back then. But going to lunch, I'm sitting out on a patio and the chickens were walking around me. I mean, it's just, if you want rustic, you can have rustic. And if you want really high-end cuisine, you could do that too in the winelands. So anything is available.
I think it's a nice combination to do the wine tasting with a Segway. I wonder how, by the end of the day, how that goes.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it that well if you're on your wine tasting day, but it is a fun way to get around and see just the beauty of that area. This is a highlight for anyone and everyone that goes to South Africa. Kruger National Park. It's the renowned national park for the Big Five game in all of the country. And we mentioned Sabi Sands up above because that is a private concession in the greater Kruger National Park that is known for its really exquisite safari lodges, high end, with every luxury known to man. But it's a large area with a lot of different accommodations. So just like in Cape Town, we can fit any budget. If you want something modest, we can do that. If you would like high luxury, we could do that too, if it's a once in a lifetime experience. The Big Five game are lion, elephant, leopard, rhino, and buffalo, and that's always on the list of safari goers to have those sightings. The last time I was in Kruger, I saw all of the above leopard only at night up a tree, and it was amazing. The beauty of going on safari is that you hop in your safari vehicle. It could be on a private basis with just your party, or it might be on a shared basis with other people, and getting to know people from different parts of the world that are English speaking it's a very satisfying experience, and many a time I've made friends with these people and kept in touch with them. So when you get in this vehicle, and this happens to be at Lion Sands, which is one of my favorite lodges in the world, you just never know what you're going to see when you turn the corner in the bush. You might see a bunch of elephants just eating the thorniest trees at the tippy top that you can imagine, and their tongues are so tough they can do that. You'll see a pod of hippos, a herd of rhino, incredible bird life that you have never seen here in the United States. I think one of my favorite animals is the warthog. They have so much personality. Meerkats are seen. Hyena are a very interesting animal. The list goes on and on. The game viewing is just beyond belief how many species you will come across in Kruger National Park.
Didn't we need to bring our own binoculars?
It's always nice to bring your own. Typically, your ranger would have a pair on the vehicle, but if you want to have them the whole time, I just got a call from a client of mine who happens to be in Kenya right now. And she asked me, could I provide more binoculars? So we communicated with our driver to make a stop and get another pair of binoculars. But yeah, there's always a pair on the vehicle, but I would bring my own.
Yeah. Is there any zebras in the Kruger Park?
Oh, absolutely. Lot of
My
zebra.
favorite.
Lot of zebra. My favorite of all time are the elephants, and the rangers are so knowledgeable. They've gone through a lot of schooling to guide a safari. They know everything about every plant, animal, bird. But interesting stories they'll tell. There is a type of berry that the elephant are attracted to that they eat and make them inebriated. And the elephants will actually kind of waddle back and forth in a drunken state. So that's called Amarullo, and you can actually buy the liquor product before you leave and bring it home. It tastes wonderful. It's similar to Bailey's.
Oh, nice.
I wanted to mention the panorama route. For people that might be driving from Johannesburg, maybe take one night or 2 nights in Johannesburg, stop over, go to the Apartheid Museum or the Cradle of Mankind. Those are 2 very popular sites out of Johannesburg. Driving towards Kruger, it's called the Mpumalanga Conservation Area. There's the panorama route, and basically the Blyde River Canyon is the 2nd largest canyon in Africa. God's window looks down off an escarpment into the Mpumalanga area. It's exquisite. These are beautiful sites for people that really enjoy sightseeing and the beauty of nature. It's not a safari experience at all, but it's a really lovely way to get from Johannesburg to Kruger National Park.
So how do we get from Cape Town to Johannesburg, Robin?
You would definitely fly. It's too far to drive.
And then you can drive from Johannesburg to the Kruger National Park.
Yes, you can, or you can also fly. There are several airstrips in that area and small airports. And some of the higher end lodges have their own airstrip.
Oh, nice.
This is an example of one of those higher end accommodations, Ulusaba, and it is owned by Richard Branson. And they have their own airstrip and they share it with the other lodges in that general area.
The views must be just amazing from up there.
It's exquisite. I have visited this lodge and I want to go back in a big way. As I was just starting out learning my way around Africa, I had a woman and her children stay at this property, and she said it was absolutely magical, and that's the perfect word for it. Here's another example of an interesting accommodation. Lion Sands built this tree house, and you can stay out there for a night. There's a lot of times a wait list to do this, but you're out there in nature under the stars, and the staff will bring anything you need, your food, your beverages, and just really pamper you and take care of you. But it's really a unique experience and not found a lot in South Africa. There are star beds in Kenya, as an example, which is similar to this, but very popular treehouse. Here's another example of what some accommodations look like. They all typically have pools, and the 5-star lodges have individual plunge pools outside of each room.
So when is the best time to travel to South Africa, Robin?
It is a year-round destination with a Mediterranean climate. That being said, the different areas that I'm speaking of, Cape Town, Kruger, Johannesburg, they do have different temperatures and weather from one another. I typically travel in May, and I have found it to be absolutely perfect with no rain, moderate temperatures. May, June, July, August, all the way up to December can be very, very nice. The only caution is that when we get into December, January, if you're hopping over to the country of Botswana, it can get very, very warm in the high 90s. So we would look at the entire trip, what your clients would like to do, and we'll choose the best time accordingly.
And it does get busy with Europeans as well. I know there's a lot of Dutch going in December during their vacation weeks.
Yes.
Going to South Africa as well. And of course, from London, it's an easy flight for them. So again, we're trying to probably avoid the school vacations, right?
Yes, yes, avoiding the school vacations would be nice. Although when you're out on safari, you're in remote areas, and many of the camps and lodges are very small in size. So you have plenty of privacy and solitude if you would like it. This is an example of what is done on safari as far as dinners go. They do move the venue of dinner, and you might be just out in the bush having dinner. But this is called a boma, and it just usually it's a buffet of the most exquisite food you can imagine, with the finest of chefs, and they have the torch lights, and the stars above are just breathtaking. And that's just one example of how a dinner might be served in the safari park.
So it's far beyond the braai that we might know, right? Which is the barbecue for South Africans.
Yes, far beyond. Just fine cuisine, and everyone says they gain 10 pounds, but you can lose it when you get home. This is another example of a very nice luxury camp. It is not a tented camp, but those are readily available as well. Sundowners, we're not that familiar here in the US with that term, but it's cocktails out in the bush. And you'll be riding along, taking pictures of your animal sightings, and your driver will suddenly stop the vehicle, get out in a safe place, and just put together some beautiful hors d'oeuvres and beverages. And it's just a wonderful experience. I can't explain how fun it is.
It's unique for sure. It's definitely a very unique experience.
It surely is.
It's gorgeous.
There's an example of a Lion Sands vehicle, which is completely open. In East Africa, we use pop tops to protect from the sun and possible rain, depending on the time of year. But Lion Sands has open vehicles, and as you can see, there's several rows, and you may be with just your family or your friends, or you may be with people you don't know, but you will get to know. And you do get that up close and personal with the game. And I could probably sit and watch lions all day long and be perfectly happy. But your guide will make sure that you see a huge variety of species. There's another example. On the left, you'll see the guy sitting on the front of the vehicle, and he's called a tracker, and he is in charge of looking at paw prints and knowing where to find the animals so that you have a wonderful game viewing experience. You can see some cubs with their mother right there.
I see the driver is on the right hand side. So are they all driving on the left side of the roads in South Africa?
Ilja, I've never driven a vehicle, and I'm trying to think how it goes there.
I think they do. I think it's the British style. They drive on the left.
It seems like it would be with, the British settlers but I'll have to get back to you on that. This picture below shows people looking at a herd of elephant, and there's no reason to be, worried or scared about it. The animals are very, very familiar with the profile of the vehicle. They are not going to charge. They're not going to harm anyone, and you're kept safe. You're not getting out of this vehicle and walking around. There are camps and lodges that have guided bushwalks if that's something your clients would like to do. But in this case, everyone is staying in the vehicle.
It's really close. I'm really surprised how close you get to the animals. I
You
didn't
really
expect
do.
that.
I mean, I've had lions like right by the tire of my vehicle.
Ooh.
There is a picture of, again, the big 5, which are those 5 game that are very sought after for photo safaris.
Gorgeous. He must be the hardest one to find. He's probably very shy, right? The leopard.
They can be elusive, that is for sure. I felt very fortunate that I've seen them each time. These are cheetah. Very, very, very fast animals. And in summary, our goal is to provide not only world-class personalized service. We're not a company where you just get on our website and book a tour and you don't hear from anyone. We are very, very focused on client service, and with the help of Ilja, who will know the clients very well and what they'd like to do, we can put together the perfect customized itinerary or something that we have as a scheduled tour.
Yeah. Thank you, Robin. I think we also should definitely highlight that this is only one part of what you offer, right? The South Africa. We just chose today to feature South Africa, but obviously there's also Kenya, Tanzania, there's Rwanda, the Victoria Falls. So there's so much more to see. So I think we definitely have to do a follow-up presentation on one of the other destinations.
I will be happy to do that. There's so much to pack in that, as you said, we're focusing on South Africa today, but
yeah. And I think it's very nice. I noticed Johannesburg, is that a city worth seeing, or should we maybe avoid that? It's not as pretty as Cape Town, correct?
That's correct. It's a big bustling city. There could be a lot of traffic on weekdays. What I suggest are, if your flight comes into Johannesburg, you might very well take the time to stay overnight, go to the Apartheid Museum, which is very well worthwhile, learn about the culture and the past and how South Africa became a democracy. There's also, I mentioned earlier, the cradle of mankind, where there have been humanoid remains found, an entire skull that's millions of years old. If you're interested in anthropology, that would be a really nice thing to do. But no need to stay a long time, but it's a great stopover point for people that have interest in those things, or just to rest before they head off to Kruger or Cape Town.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little fun fact. Actually, my father was in the flower business out of the Netherlands, and he started bringing in the Protea flowers from South Africa.
My favorite.
He was there for a year, a long time ago. I can easily say 57 years ago, because my brother was born there when they were there for 1 year, and then they flew back to the Netherlands. So Johannesburg is somewhat familiar to me, although I still haven't visited. But yeah, I think this was a great overview, Robin. I appreciate it. And I think for anybody who's interested in Africa, like I am, it's a perfect combination to work with Robin. I could not do it without her, because she really is able to answer all our questions. So it's kind of like we hop on a call with her. She will talk us through what is available and what is the best time, more or less get a feel for what your budget is. And then we start planning it for you, and you can ask all her questions. There will be a list with things that you should bring, and the combination of both of us, you're in good hands. And I hope that we're able to send you to Africa in the next few years. So I appreciate it, Robin. Is there anything you want to say in closing?
In closing, I never run into anyone that knows what I do that doesn't say, I've always wanted to do that.
Mm.
Make this the time you do it. There is availability. There are people ready and willing to welcome you to their country, warm and friendly people. Just go for it. Do it. You will not regret it. It's an incredible experience that you will always remember, not your typical vacation whatsoever.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.